Hi there, welcome to the More Sibyl podcast. This is a podcast for Blacks, Asians, and those who love them. I am Mo, and I am your host, ready to spark your curiosity as I take you on this adventurous ride of exploring cultures through the stories of my guests from all over the world. On this show, we get really personal, discussing salient issues that are relevant to our contemporary age and also building community around them. As our guests exercise courage and vulnerability in sharing their life's experiences, we hope that in turn you are inspired by them and that you get the courage needed to set your own stories free. Enjoy the ride, and thank you so much for listening. Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. This is Mo and
Ayomide.
And today I have a very special friend. And I know I say special a lot for a lot of my guests, but this person is really special. Wow. We go a long way. And it's the kind of friendship that we kind of didn't really keep in touch. But when we started talking, it was almost like you just resumed the play button. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't very hard to just, catch up on how's life been and, what's been happening with you and to you. And today, just know that when I say I have the special honor or even just the excitement I feel about having to talk to this person and bring them on board to share their story and their life experiences and passion. So it's with, utmost honor that I introduce my very dear friend. His name is Apochi. He's a Nigerian currently based in the US. He's the founder and president of the SabiWa Natural Company, which is a natural company. They deal with natural foods and supplements. He's also an entertainer and a business analyst. As an entertainer, he has been featured in reality TV shows. You probably might know him from Gouda Ultimate Search. He was quite infamous. He's been on radio shows and several stage productions. He considers himself to be proudly African, and he loves diverse cultures. He also describes himself as highly adventurous and sociable. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Von the Don, like I call him, on the podcast. Hello, Von.
Hello. Oh my goodness. I was just like, oh man, is this like some Hollywood kind of introduction when you want to go get the Oscar and everything,
Even better. They ain't seen nothing yet. And guys, we've had like 30 minutes of pre-roll call, just, chatting and, trying to get the kinks working. So we're already charged up for you guys. Mm-hmm. I think, Von, to kind of get the conversation going, maybe we can just talk a little bit about how we met.
Oh, yeah.
So do you recall how we met, Von?
Oh, yeah. So pretty much I remember in university, early days in the university when, a diploma, right? Cool. Everybody came up from different backgrounds, smart kids. In Nigeria, they called them Ajebota children because it was really expensive to afford a diploma, man. So everybody that was there was pretty much, maybe from a rich background, average, little tilting towards the rich background, or you are on the scholarship.
As one of the people who was not a diploma student, I know what you're talking about.
Diploma has
levels. Don't out your family like that. Come on, show some respect.
So everybody came in and, humble kids. But yeah, pretty much proud, humble, mix of good, bad, and ugly. I was pretty much a class rep then, right? I was a class rep, right? Cool. The class captain, right?
Yes, you were. And Von is someone he's the first to reckon with. He has the height to carry, right? You have that height and that presence. Mm-hmm. He was always smiling. Hello, my name is Von, I remember I met you through Lamide. Lamide. Yeah. Shout out to Lamide, by the way. I'll say Lamide.
I was just going to ask, like, Lamide.
Yes. Oh. Yeah, so Von, Lamide and Ayomide are very good friends as well. So Lamide is also...
Oh my goodness, how did that happen?
Yes.
Well, that's the question I'm still asking.
Well, they're both weird people, so they found themselves. Yes, they're both weird people, so they found themselves.
Can we get Lamide on this
we
podcast?
Are like the same
people here. Lamide, oh my goodness.
She's been.
Tolani, we need to actually have Lamide together. But that's a different.
I know. I told her that she needs to come for a threesome, a healthy threesome. And she laughed. She was like, "How she's going to be able to communicate with both of us?"
The threesome you said sounds a little bit suggestive, And
no, I said a healthy one. Come back to the light.
All three songs are healthy.
This is not the podcast. We have after our podcast. But anyways, I think my first memory of you was just you being very welcoming and just very open. I remember we used to hang out quite a lot. We used to go study at the education building.
Oh God!
And one of my and I know you were in New Grade Hall as well.
Yeah.
And I think the memory that really stayed with me was when they kind of had to close the hostel for whatever reason, and we had exams because back then diploma for those that might not know is kind of like another pathway for you to get into college. If you didn't get in through like JAM or whatever. JAM is like a big exam we do. And by the way, I'm not an Ajay, my parents had to take out a huge collateral to send me to school.
That's modest.
But anyways, I digress. And my mom helped me get a place at the Vistas Lodge. It was Lodge. It was me and Debola. And I remember you said, and I realized that you didn't find a place to stay. I'm like, come stay with us. And we all, cramped up in that one room. And I think we slept on the floor. So I'm like, going on the floor in my room. And so whenever I see you online or hear about you, I'm like, I actually shared a bed space with that guy, but it's not a story I want to just tell everybody. But
let's talk about it. We'll talk about it sometime.
Yes, we talk about some. I use that to just say the memories I have of you were just always so bright. That you have this easy way of bringing people, together and just, I don't know. You have that warmth about you. So
thank you very much. And also to complement what you just said, just like an addendum or like, to buttress the point is, Mo, the first thing that attracted me to her was the fact that she's a naturally likable person. She didn't pay me nothing for this, okay? Ayomide, don't come at me, right? Now, she's a naturally likable person. I will have to agree
with you there, actually.
Everybody, this kind of person, in your class or in your environment or community, that kind of person that but everybody loves. She talks, she's happy, and she's happy. At the point I was asking Agazie, I was like, what a mutual friend. I was like, is she on drugs? Does nothing, no, not really the drug part. I was like, does nothing offend this girl? She's always happy. So when I heard she has this podcast and everything, I was like, yes, that's the trend. That's the point. Because she's just lively and happy. And for me, I'm attracted to happy people. And she's brilliant. She's one of the best. She graduated one of the best in our class too. I don't know if she said that to you at some point. She's one of the best, as in top-notch best. While she was my friend, then I looked up to her. Sometimes I go to her to, we study together, of course, and she's quick to understand everything. Like the brain is magical. When they teach us those calculuses, real analysis, whatever those maths that we were doing then, she was just on point. And I was like, God, where this brain, God, can I have part of this brain? Pretty much good then too, but she's just way out of water, man. Trust me, she's good.
Oh, that was so uncomfortable. I'm like, who is this person you are talking about? Because I want to be friends with that person.
Oh, it's you. Be friends with yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm not going to say too much, but thank you. But I want to make this all about you, actually. I want to make this all about you. You've done so much, right? I think I see you as a multi-potentialite, someone that has diverse gifts and talents. And so let's take it back to you. How did you find out your calling in life? Because it seems like you tend to do a lot, but you tend to also do them well. So maybe just walk us through, your what you do and what you currently do and how you're able to manage all of that.
All right. So my growing up was highly motivating because I have a mom who has this tenacity and doggedness to achieve everything she wants to achieve in life. My mom was a principal, was a school teacher, retired as a school principal. So she was a disciplinarian also. And my dad is late now. So my dad he worked in Shell. So it was pretty much this corporate guy, traveled a lot, very exposed. So I looked up to them. This thing they say kids' first role models are the parents. So I got these classy, shell kind of thing from my dad. I wanted to be there. Then my mom was this upright, dot your I's and cross the T kind of mother, and we had this morning devotion every time. And she told us, you must succeed in life. You must make it. You must do this and all of that. And early enough, we had, my dad bought this big fiber, cable TV. Then it just came in Nigeria a long time ago back then, so we pretty much watched Mnet. No, there was no African Magic then. Bop TV. So I always saw all the cartoons. Stop the magic. Yeah, Captain Planet and all of those cartoons. I was like, Voltron. Yeah, pretty much those ones. Then the new ones that came up then, so, and I was always telling my siblings, I want to be a celebrity. I want to be a star. I may not be an A-list star, but at least I want to be famous. I always said it to me. I was like, I said, one day I'm going to be on Mnet. You guys are going to sit here and watch me on this Mnet. So my siblings are like, oh, you started again. Oh, this is your brag, mouth. They keep saying all of those things. So, but eventually, before we met during Diploma, I'd already done a reality TV show called The Gladiators. That was, it was big across Africa, but wasn't really big in Nigeria because we didn't have so much airing in Nigeria, but it was huge in South Africa and a couple of other countries. When I went to South Africa, trust me, I didn't even know from the airport people recognized me because I was very famous then, on The Gladiators. It was shot in Nigeria, but it was organized by South Africa, sponsored by a popular telecommunications brand. I don't want to promote them here. And also a mobile phone. It was big, and that was the first time I appeared on Mnet because it was shown on Mnet, the real Mnet, not African Magic, Mnet. So, and I didn't tell my siblings, I didn't tell anybody. So a day to when it was going to be aired, I called my mom and I said, you guys watch Mnet 9:00, and guess what? Boom, Vaughn. I dream come true. So I've always had this tenacious drive, this, will to succeed from my mother. My mom says she's going to do something. She does it against all odds. So over time, that's been what shaped my drive towards being a Renaissance person, or whatever you want to call it. Someone who does multiple things and try to succeed in almost everything that he touches. That's the background.
Wow. I mean, I think if I could summarize what you said so far is your family just provided that template for you to be able to launch your dreams. And it seemed that you use that as a springboard. I'm glad that you're living your dreams. And you said, I'm going to be on TV someday. And guess what? You made it happen before social media even became a thing. Because now it's so easy for anybody to not easy. It's relatively easier for you to go viral by just saying the wrong things. Back then it's difficult to even get on TV. How much more on a major production? So kudos to you.
Thanks. Thank you.
You talked about how your friends and family were very, going all Joseph's brothers on you and being like, how dare you talk about you be greater than everybody else. That's a difficult Bible joke for those who don't know. but I was curious. It got me thinking about what kind of memories you have of your childhood. Because the first question that came to my mind when you said that was that because you were not sure of how things would be, or was that sort of more very Nigerian, you don't want to tell them because you know that they're going to be like, what? How did you do that? How dare you? That sort of thing, So one, I'm curious about what you thought the response was that made you, or what made you not tell them. But then I'd just like to know a bit more about what childhood memories you have that you think on often and find, you're fond of.
Okay, so before I talk about the childhood memories, I want to clear this part. Yeah, it wasn't a Joseph syndrome, kind of. It was more like an impossible. Not like, oh, you're going to be greater than us, but like this is impossible.
It wasn't beef.
So they hollowed Mnet way above my potentials or what I could, contempt, more like
a prophet is in, what the Bible will say about a prophet.
Exactly. So that was that part, Then achieving it wasn't the Nigerian, or I don't know if it comes out bad, pretty much Africans, we like keeping things to ourselves because we're afraid someone is going to jinx it, or we think some witchcraft somewhere. So, but it wasn't that part. That wasn't the reason why I didn't tell them. I just wanted it to be a voila kind of effect,
see your own
kind of surprise.
Yeah.
That's the reason I kept it away. Exactly, more like that, So
your family is quite accepting, for you to say you want to be on TV and you say, "Shut up, your mouth, go and be a doctor and engineer." I mean, kudos to them, by the way. You know how African parents can be. You cannot be on TV or go and be a doctor.
Yeah, my mom is more like, she's objective, but she allows you to express your will, and she believes in the fact that, if I, mix my own wills with yours, it probably might just come out wrong. So she allows you to express your will, your free will, whatever you want to do, but she guides you, ensures that you follow the right path. Childhood memories, a whole lot, plethora, volume, large, a whole lot, fun days. I always tell my elder sister, she's in Canada right now, and I always tell her whenever we talk a whole lot. Like we spoke like yesterday. I'm sure we're going to talk today before I go to bed. We're really that close, So I always tell her that I wish we could just go back to when we were kids. We didn't bother about family, the emotions of relationship, wife, husband, or children, future. Because our parents provided pretty much as they could then. And all we did was just play, eat, watch TV, read our books, do whatever we want to do for fun, It was really exciting. I love my childhood experiences. One of the key experiences, because we lived like in a community environment. Like I said before, the diploma at Gibraltar kind of rich kids. I come from an average family, so don't get it that twisted. I didn't come from a rich background. I was just fortunate that my mom and dad put their funds together.
I know Nigerian fans. Average is another way for upper class, by the way. But go on.
So now I was in the lower average.
Choose your adjectives, we'll choose ours.
From the lower average. So my mom and dad put funds together to send me to diploma, to join people like the rich more, to hang out with people like her, All right, that was just an aside. So my childhood memory, I love, I used to go to the community stream to swim. My mom didn't like that. My dad didn't like that. So my siblings and I, with 3 brothers, then, we'll sneak out of the house, we'll go swim. Then at a point in my high school, we'll call it secondary school in Nigeria, in Africa, I'll pack tall cream in my bag. And after school, trust me, we're at the stream swimming. Then after that, we rub cream and look all shiny. Then my mom would go like, "I don't understand. You're coming back from school looking so clean as if you're just going to school. How come?" That kind of situation. So that was really fun for us. Yeah, exactly. It was, other kids are coming all dirty, looking all dusty and everything, but I'm looking all prim propped and clean. Like I just had my bath in the morning. Then another thing that happened was this, my cousin, CY, fun guy. He'd always sneak in. My mom didn't want him to, associate with us then because he was the black sheep. He would sneak through the window and he would start singing. Then we know he's around. We just sneak out. We run to the stream. We loved the stream. We sweet. I think that shaped my ability to move on water really well till date. We swam a whole lot. Then he taught us how to make my mom forget to, because when we come back, of course, strokes of the cane on your bum, So what he did was he told us there were certain leaves that we could tie. When we tie the leaves, then when we get back home, my parents won't flog us.
Where's CJ today? I think we're curious to know. I'm sure he's doing well. I'm sure he's doing great in life. Shout out to CY.
CY is doing great, trust me. So there was this day, CY told us, the first time ever, CY told us to tie these leaves. So we tied it, we said some things like, "Mommy, forget about beating us today. Mommy, forget about beating us." You say it 7 times. Then we go home and my mom was back from school already. She was in the living room. So we snuck into the house, first. So we're scared anyway, if it worked. I was the courageous one. I walked in and I looked at my mom. She looked at me. She was looking, she watched whatever she was watching on TV. I walked straight to my room. I was like, "God, this thing worked." So my little brother, the one who's a boxer right now, came to my window I said, how far? I said, nothing. I'm like, it worked. So both of them came in, and my mom didn't say anything. At 12 midnight, she came with a cane, and she beat.
Technically, she forgot that day, but she resumed it the next day. So it kind of worked.
She beat the living night out of us.
It worked, but it expired.
It expired, yeah.
You didn't renew it.
I don't know if it worked. We told her what happened. She was like, trust me, it didn't work. I just wanted you guys to have your moments because you guys are just a bundle of kids. So swimming in the stream was a good memory for me. I loved it. It was a mixed, so pretty much I loved it. It's part of my book. I wrote that part of my book, and maybe I didn't deliver the joke well, but, in my book, when I gave it to someone to read, the person laughed for like 3 days about that. I wonder why you guys are not still laughing.
No, we're muted, but that was a funny one. I think growing up for me was you could pluck your eyelids and then you put it under your parents' shoes and then they will forget, but they never really.
The eyelid one was plug the eyelids, the eyelashes. Just pluck what?
Yeah, sorry,
eyelashes. They put it on your hair.
And then put it on their shoes.
Ours was on the hair.
And then put it on their shoes.
My parents didn't forget nothing.
You put it on their shoes, they wear it and they forget about it. I don't know who came up with these painful things. Yeah. Just a point of clarification. You grew up in Warri, correct?
Yeah, Ughelli actually. Ughelli is
okay, Delta
State.
Delta
Ughelli is a
right?
town close. So, funny enough, all of the big celebrities that you see today are mostly from Ughelli, not really Warri. Warri is just famous because of the oil, the Shell, Chevron, and all the. Yeah. It's like but more residents were in Ughelli. Ughelli is like the city you pass before you go to Asaba,
local
the
government.
capital.
I think there's even a local government
exactly.
there. Right?
So like people like Alibaba and the rest, they're all from Ughelli.
Yeah, because when you were talking about streams, I'm like, that's not legal because they've already built houses on top of those streams.
Yeah.
Well, so this is actually kind of what I was going to ask, because clearly you're like, you sound like you're a very people person. You're the kind of person who sort of finds community and builds community. So how did you find it moving, to the abroad? How did you, with the loneliness that everyone who comes here discovers and no one tells you about until you get here?
But let's even clarify that Von is lonely, because I don't know me that I thought was a great mom. I have moments of loneliness even till today. Maybe America,
maybe let's start from there then.
So let's confirm that somebody like Von
let's not make assumptions,
because I don't think don't include him in our demographic. Ayomide.
Exactly. That'll probably be when I talk about my younger sister that just passed. So, but before that, I've always traveled around the world. I've been to Holland, I've been to London, I've been to France, Caen, weird places. Like you see someone going to France, you probably want to go to Paris, right? But I went to a city like Caen. First ever, my first visit to France, that kind of weird thing. I want to see like monuments, museums. Every year I traveled, I probably go to 2 countries in a year. So I really loved to travel, and I started traveling, early, so pretty much I've been to America like several times, since I think I started coming to America in 2015, that was pretty late for me though, but I've been to Europe and a couple other places like African countries, Kenya, Tanzania, so abroad was more like a dream for me. I've seen it, tasted it, felt it. I was like, okay, so this is like a place, because if you want to be in Hollywood, you have to be in America, right? So that was the second dream I told my brother, that I may not be like the big Hollywood star, but before I die, I'll feature in one Hollywood movie, like a big Hollywood movie. I've told them, and my younger brother, I was like, you started again. I started, but I delivered, right? They're like, that's true. This guy, I know you would deliver this time. So I said that that if you eventually hear that I'm dead and you've never seen any credit to me for a Hollywood movie, oh no, I'm in one island hiding. I'm not dead yet. Open that coffin, I'm not there. So I said that again. So, and how can you achieve that dream? It's America. So I've pretty much come to America by myself. And whilst I run my own company as an entrepreneur, I also work with a multinational organization, I think the biggest financial institution on earth. I'm not going to mention their name so they didn't pay me for that. They only pay me salaries. So I work with them as an assistant manager, and I manage a huge team of financial advisors, so And during the pandemic was a huge window for me, because then we're introduced to remote working in Nigeria. So I pretty much saw that, wow, so you can work remotely with your workstation, you can deliver, do everything. Okay. So I wrote an application and I said, and I gave all of the excuses and everything, the reason why I want to be in America and everything. So I moved, and of course we have a branch in America here. So I started applying to them so I could get promotion. So long story short, pretty much I decided intentionally to move to America. And it was pretty much, I don't want to sound too cocky or to make like it was easy for me, because I'd always come. That's the reason I gave the background of the fact that I traveled a lot, so it was, but it's not easy on overall to relocate, but it was easy for me because it was pre-planned. Everything was calculated, so moving to America was, well organized and planned out for me, and all the steps I've taken, getting my driver's license, getting my ITIN, state tax, state control number, social security number, and everything like that. Everything was timely and organized, and pam. I was just, getting things working out for me, pretty much that's it. But don't let it sound like it's easy, because especially if you really want to achieve that, I think you should sit down, plan it properly, and do it right. That's just the takeout from this, and it involved a lot of money,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I imagine you had some difficulties, moving. So I'm not going to undermine that,
Mm-hmm.
but it seems that compared to many people's path to the US, you probably had it a lot easier because it was guided by you. Relatively easier.
Yeah.
There might be some.
I think that's the right way to put it. It's not easy, but relatively.
But it's relatively
better
easier.
than the traditional way to
So, work aside, have you been able to find your people? Like Ayomide said, a people person. Have you experienced loneliness? Like, just dish it out. If not, what's your secret?
A whole lot.
You're a bubbly man.
A whole lot. Because people see me as because I've done a couple of jobs here in America. Like, when I mean jobs, like help out people. First when I came in, for the fact that I still work in Nigeria, work remotely. I've supported a lot of people, like, do certain things, charity and all of that, because I do a lot of charity here in America. So when I earn, I give to charity back in Nigeria at the same time. So I've met a lot of people, diverse people, And when they meet me for the first time, because I like seeing the good out of people, I tell people every day, the best thing is, even if you want to be a good leader, bring out the best in people. And pretty much everybody has ups and downs, pros and cons, back and forth, go and come, like that. So if you want to get the best out of people, bring out the best in them, tell them how good they are, and be real about it. Don't lie, don't fake it. So pretty much that's my attitude towards people. And everybody see Vaughn as, wow, this guy's just, but they don't know that I still have that moment where I think, oh my God, my Hollywood dream, how am I going to achieve this? And I've said it, I've bragged about it. That moment where I go like, oh God, I said I was going to be a billionaire. How am I going to this path? I know I've started the path, but that moment where I'd say, oh, my sister is gone, God, so anyone can really die. Oh God, those are my personal lonely moments, and so many things like that, battles in my mind, trying to succeed, I'm this kind of person. I'm not braggadocious, or what's the word? Like, I believe in words have power. You think about them, you speak them, and they become reality. So I try as much as I can in the best, modest way to express my reality, say it, so I don't offend anybody, and so that it doesn't sound like I'm oppressing anybody with one or two achievements. Yeah, though it still comes out wrong sometimes, but I intentionally do not want to hurt anybody by trying to express what I want to be or what I want to do. But I just believe that saying those things help you achieve them better, increases the inner spiritual or physical strength, or whatever you want to say about it, or however you want to put it rather, So people look at me and say, wow, this guy's getting everything going for him. But there are lonely times, lonely moments, nights and days where I just sit in my room, in my apartment, and I struggle. I struggle.
So you're human like the rest of us.
Wow. There's so many, thanks for, I was saying, there's so many things to choose out of that. It's very humbling. And thanks for, articulating that very nicely. Now, speaking of loneliness, I mean, the commonality between three of us on this group right now is that we've left our home country and, settled somewhere else. And I think one of the big things you have to remember quickly, especially if you're doing it as an adult, is you need to find people to do life with. We had a guest on the show whose episode released last week. This was Ormi from, who lives in Canada now, but she's Italian Bengali. And she talked about how the people she's friends with right now are people who almost like understand what it means like to yearn for that community and a group of people who really understand the passion. Now, I know as a Nigerian living in the US, one of the big things you hear about is, avoid certain groups of people. And we have derogatory names sometimes for certain groups of people. And I know you call them our cousins. So I guess my devil's advocate question would be, given that you moved to the US and it's such a, hodgepodge, a melting pot of different cultures and different people, what has your relationship been with, the African Americans who, and I'm not going to mention the word we call them because I think it's quite derogatory. And what would you say are some of the perceptions you've had before even visiting the US and now living, with them, living here right now and, mixing with a lot of them and other kinds of good people? Would you say you've been able to clarify or tease out some of the things we've, potentially held as biases and ideas about them? So specifically, I know growing up in Nigeria, we used to hear a lot of words and a lot of, things about them. And I hate that I keep saying them because it's almost like an otherness, which I don't want to ascribe to them. But for the sake of clarification, I'm going to say them. And I mean by them, I mean African Americans. And by the time you come here, you realize that, man, we're all blacks. The moment we start binding together and, talking about things that really affect us as blacks, the more we can progress. But I'm just curious to know what your experience has been so far, Von.
Okay, so I'll break the experience into 3 segments. So the first one was, I hope I really rushed this quickly because I know time. Okay, the first one was growing up watching Black American movies. We really loved them. Tupac, Biggie, Poetic Justice, Juice. These were old movies that, my parents watched and would sneak and watch those kind of movies too, though they had the explicit scenes. But, for some reason, we just still watch. So I just liked that, not the gangster part of them, especially the way they talk, they talk fast, they're smart, and they are, and I just liked the Black Americans then. That's the first segment. So I fell in love with our cousins, Then the second part was when I started traveling, so they describe them like though they have explicit bias for Africans. Not like, pretty much we talk about implicit bias for when someone does something, not because of who you are, but because of something that's going on with them, But an explicit bias is intentional stereotype, because you are this and they have their reasons. And that's the message. So that second segment is not from my personal experience with them, but from information or people's perception shared with me. So a lot of people were telling me that, our cousins don't like us for some 1 or 2 reasons. Especially they say we sold their forefathers for slavery and all of those things. And I struggled with that, with especially my first love for the Black Americans. Now, people who have been here before me are now telling me that their experiences with them is they're very rational, they are this, they're that, they don't have respect for culture because we come from 2 different backgrounds. And, especially when you are a Nigerian man, you try to get married to a Black American, there's this friction. And I said, so the first thing I thought to myself was like, okay, so for instance, I told one of my friends today who has the same perception about Black Americans. I said, if you visited your aunt and you do not wash the dishes and your aunt yells at you, you probably think because I'm not her child, that's the reason she's yelling at me. But if your cousin, who's your aunt's child, does not wash the dishes and your aunt even spanks your cousin doesn't say because I'm not your child. But yours, there's this bias in your mind already, So I think, don't you think that this is what is going on? Yes, I quite understand that we come from different backgrounds. You're like, no, it's a lie, blah, blah, blah. Now, that's the second phase. Man, the third phase is my personal experience. My personal experience is a mix. I've actually experienced what I've heard. I've experienced what I had before when I was a kid, what the perception I had when I was a kid, the love I have for them, the swag, the way they talk, and all of this. And I've seen that. I loved it. And I've seen the part where they also have this bias towards us. I've seen it on YouTube where they talk about us negatively and all of that we sold them for slavery. So I kept advocating to them that no, the white man came to Africa with gunpowder. We couldn't have sold you. They'll take whatever they want. They'll take the kings and chiefs. They didn't need the kings and chiefs to sell you. They'll just take everybody. So don't think that that story was created, that history. Personally, I think, because I've done my research, I discovered that these guys wrote our own history for us. I mean, the white man, don't get me wrong, I don't hate the white guys. Of course, I have a lot of white friends. But those that perpetrated that evil then wrote that history. Don't believe that thing you read there. Have you forgotten that these guys came to take our bronze, our artwork? We were already civilized. We had mirrors. We were already doing Ogogoro's gin, local gin. So you couldn't come and sell gin to me and take my brother. Because I live in a tropical environment. I'm the king of gin. So what gin, you're coming from your temperate region, what gin from what wood or what kind of tree are you getting your gin from, So pretty much I tried to tell as much as I could tell that, no, that story, so that you should delete that from your mind. We didn't sell you. They took you away, and the only way to put friction between us is to tell you that we sold you for slavery. We did not. I don't believe that story any day, and I will not believe that story. They took you away, and for them to look a little bit good so they don't take all of the blame to themselves, they want to share the blame. Oh, your chiefs and kings and your forefathers also were part of the slave process because they sold your forefathers. No, there was no trade. It was gun and force. All right. So I want to take this opportunity to any Black American watching this episode right now. We are one, same skin color. We loved you. The average African man loves a Black American from home. It's only when a few people come here, they see different experiences and not go like, whoa. Growing up, we hallowed our cousins. We looked at them as, super demigods. We love you guys. We didn't sell our forefathers for slavery. So that should be, eroded from your memories, and we shouldn't be separated. We didn't come to take your jobs. We came to join you, to support you, to move the Black community forward. With our experiences, your experiences, our education, your education, the sky is big enough. America has a huge economy. The Blacks are 13% in America. You can't eat the entire economy alone. Even if we bring twice your population into America, America will still survive. Please accommodate us. We love you. We love you. We love you.
Wow.
Controversial, right?
I don't even know. Yeah, well, not controversial, but there's some bits and pieces of that I'm like, do we need to clarify? But you know what? Those are your words, and I'm not gonna punctuate them or taint them. But I think the best part of it is, we're one skin color.
Exactly.
We're Blacks, and I mean the historical parts of it might be debatable.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I think on
Please.
both sides.
Yeah. Honestly,
I'm on both sides.
Let me just say this quickly. Yeah.
Sorry, go
ahead. Let
me
say this quickly. The part of the history where I said that we did not sell, it's my own.
Yes, that part.
Yeah, my own perception. My own perception, my own findings, and it's 100% debatable. It may be true, but for me, my rational cognitive thinking, I do not see any possibility of someone coming to invade my territory with gunpowder and still give me, before I stop hitting the table again, and still give me a gin to sell my brothers. Yeah, maybe it could happen in pocket sizes. Don't get me twisted. It could have happened in pocket sizes, but on an overall, it wasn't a major bargain that happened during the slave trade. The slave trade was a forceful.
And I think that's not even like the crux of your. Sorry for cutting you. I don't think that's the crux of your speech. I wanted to bring out the most beautiful part of it. Like, regardless of our history, like the history, we might not really know exactly what happened because, again, like you said, whoever writes the history has the power. And, there could be pockets of truth here and there. But I think I want to focus on things that are more beneficial, which is the future. And I think on both sides, it's about perception. We both have to understand that we're all in this together. And a classic example that I use, which I didn't come up with, even though I wish I did, was if a cop were to stop me on the road today, he's not going to care that I'm a Nigerian princess. He's going to think I'm just black.
You're right.
And whatever, institutional bias comes with that, I'm going to be at the brunt end of it. Beautiful. So I think it's high time Africans, especially, to come down from that superiority complex we have sometimes when it comes to our cousins and see how we can move the continent. And by the continent, I mean the black, race as a where, forward, community, wherever we are dispersed. And I think on the other end of it is, again, visit Africa. By Africa, I'm not saying that as how people just say Africa is a country. I always encourage my African American friends, do your DNA, find out where you're from. If you need any resources, if you want to connect to anybody from whatever country you find that you're from, I can help you. And I think that when we start connecting in that way, we're gonna move forward. But I don't want to spend so much time on this part of it. But I really do appreciate you sharing that. Yeah.
I wanted to ask a question about something that has come up a few times so far from some of the things you've been saying, which is the fact that you're entrepreneurial, which is obviously something that in the US is just a perfect fit, isn't it? With the sort of spirit of the United States. How would I think it's something that a lot of people struggle with, obviously, because there's this idea of freedom in being entrepreneurial, which obviously I think any entrepreneur knows that there's a lot more to it than just being free, and in some ways it's more tricky and more difficult. So what would you say to someone who is sort of struggling with the 9-to-5 life and sort of dreaming about becoming entrepreneurial? If you had 3 things you could say to them, what would that be?
Okay, so basically, for me personally, I would advise that if you do not have courage, which is one of my values, courage, you will not succeed as an entrepreneur. And don't forget that, like you said outrightly, entrepreneurial skills or a journey, it's highly competitive. It's not something you just say you want to delve into. If you're comfortable with your 9-to-5 and you are not called out to be an entrepreneur, to start a business, pretty much I advise stay where you are, as funny as that may sound. Because if you come out from where you are, your comfort zone, I classify humans as 2 different kind of people. Yes, some are the CEOs CEOs in their own business and CEOs in already multinational or whatever organizations that they are. So you can actually be a career person, do a lot of skill acquisition, learning, and grow in your organization, move from one company to another company, become a manager, senior manager, become a CEO of the company. So you're still an entrepreneur. But if you're not called out for an already a rugged terrain, because doing 9-to-5 is already an organized terrain, you're just coming in to fit and to grow. But coming out of that means you need to recalibrate the system for yourself. And also, I tell people, you must understand that value drives any business. So courage, integrity, customer focus, because a lot of us do not understand that the customer is key, customer is king, customer is number 1. So these are my 3 values that actually drive my business: customer focus, courage, and integrity and innovation. Actually, so it's that, So first thing is, do not leave if you don't have the guts. Then second is, if you leave, understand that there are a whole lot that comes with it: competitiveness, and your values is to come into play. I intentionally didn't want to make it sound easy, yeah.
No, I don't think you made it sound easy because it's not. And oh my gosh, Vaughn, you've always had a way with words, and I'm like, oh my goodness. I think my follow-up question would be this. So, anytime I think about Vaughn, my friend, and even in the light of your celebrity height, I know when you did Gouda Ultimate Search, you are probably one of the most, I don't even know the word for it. People were like, oh, that Vaughn is too much. And I remember just being within hearing shots of somebody just talking smack about it. I'm like, no, people don't know Vaughn. And I got very defensive. I think this was the Ultimate Search time. Maybe they came up and everybody like put you out or something like that. And for those that don't know, Gouda Ultimate Search is kind of like survival.
Hold it
a reality TV show.
After this conversation, send me your address and send me what you would love to get, and I'll buy something from Amazon for you.
Anyways,
for holding my back.
Vaughn, I'm like Vaughn. You don't know Vaughn. This is all just strategy to win a game and to establish his brand.
Yeah.
But I imagine that because that was your first. I mean, you've done other production, but I think. And correct me if I'm wrong. Gouda Ultimate Search actually brought you to the forefront of Nigerians.
You're very correct.
You kind of use that to kind of build on your brand.
You're very correct.
Now, and this was before social media, Instagram, and all of that. And you captivated our TV shows, and I was super proud of you because it wasn't too long after we left, college. Yeah. So, how did you manage your brand? How did you manage your brand perception, especially that you came in? You came to be in our forefront by being one of the most infamous Gouda Ultimate Search contestants.
Yeah, thank you. So pretty much after the Ultimate Search, I like the part you said. Even after the show, I still stayed normal. But trust me, after the show, every other person that was, because Ultimate Search 2 was pretty much the famous according to research and statistics done. They were like, even till date, that's still the most famous show because, the trend started going down over time after our search because they were like, the characters were just unique, And one good thing about...
You guys brought the heat.
Yeah, we brought the heat on, man. We brought the heat on. But another thing I also want to clarify, because I think this might be the first time I'll say this because I've always kept this away from the media, even all the interviews I had. But let me just say once and for all, I pretty much wasn't the bad guy in Ultimate Search like people perceived me to be. I was a very funny guy in the jungle. But remember, it was an edited show. Don't get me wrong, it's a reality TV show, but not a live show like the Big Brother.
Yeah.
So they had
the editing for the controversies. We know that things that are making
exactly. So the director even told me, "But I'm going to make you really famous, but I'm going to make you a bad guy. I need a villain." I said, yeah, I'm down for it. Make me the villain, man. I don't care, So he actually captured most of the villain looking kind of, But then, and also to also make you sound right, which is true. I intentionally did certain things to just be famous. I wanted to be known. I wanted everybody to hear my name, every home to talk about me, and I succeeded. And I knew I was going to have the opportunity to learn that image, come back and tell people, no, I'm not that kind of person, And I have friends like Mo that would always watch my back and say, no, that's not the Vaughn. I know Vaughn, that was just an act, just like the bad guy in the movie, kind of stuff. Yeah. So, but managing the brand. So after the fame, I told myself I was going to remain humble. I became a personal millionaire then. I had so much money. I was like, gosh, I'd never seen this kind of money before. I went to all the big restaurants. I met with about 10 governors in Nigeria. I had dinner with them. Donald Duke was my godfather then, one of the most famous governors in Nigeria. I was like, I was floating in the air. And I tell people, if social media, if there was Twitter, if there was Instagram and the rest, I'd probably be like... maybe Brad Pitt right now of Africa or something, because I was really famous, So managing it is just being humble. I told myself intentionally I'll be humble. I'll still hang out with my friends. Agache came to see me in the hotel. He was shocked that I allowed them because all the security guys were like, I was like, my friends to come in and hang out with me. We had dinner. A few other friends came. Lalo, I don't know if you remember Lalo. A few other friends came in, pretty much. And after that, I was just normal. So the first thing I took home out of that was the fact that I remained humble. I told myself, I won't be different. Then also I intentionally understood that now I'm a celebrity. My status has changed. I started having bigger movies, started doing sub-lead roles. I did about almost 30 movies after that, even more. So I signed a contract with Mnet. I started doing some Mnet series, and so whilst I was humble, I intentionally remembered that this guy's mini. I don't call myself A-list celebrity, mini celebrity, but at least I'm known, and not just known by every other person. Even celebrities were looking up to me. Like Two-Face became my friend, AY, Basket Mouth. These are the kind of people that were now rolling with me, chatting me up, talking to me. I was like, oh, really? Okay. If you look at my Twitter right now, you see like Daria Talade. These are the guys that follow me, so I just try my best to stay humble, encourage people, try to tell people that it's possible wherever you are. Then just be intentional that you're a celebrity now, even if you're not like the Brad Pitt kind of celebrity or Tom Cruise kind of celebrity, but you are. So just follow the flow.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. Now, this is the final question we're probably going to be asking you on the show. And I saved it for last because of just how heavy it is. And I know it's very significant to you. You've also alluded to it in the beginning of our conversation. Now, you've been through a lot. You've had, and I want to punctuate my question with this statement that I think one thing I've learned about life, especially that came to my forefront during the pandemic, was like, I've learned to appreciate the dichotomy of loss and happiness, and that life is usually that constant stream of, like, you have two streams running of good things and of bad things happening. And the onus is on us. And I think that was something Ayomide said in one of our episodes. Like, when you have bad memories, you have to make, like, put meaning. The meaning doesn't come sometimes through the bad memory, but you have to find out the meaning you put to it. So I know you've suffered, like you had a tragic car accident that almost lost your life, but you bounced back from that. And then smack dab, I think sometime last year, you lost your sister. I mean, I've known you for a while, and even when we were in diploma, you talked about your baby sister a lot. Like, everyone that was close to you knew about Tega. And so even though you and I hadn't talked in a while before then, the moment I saw that news, in fact, I saw the news trending, but I didn't know it was even your sister because they used her, her married name. And when I read it, I was like, hold on, this person looks familiar. I reached out to you on Facebook right away because I'm like, even years of silence, because it wasn't like we didn't want to talk, we just weren't talking. I'm like, no, this is Vaughn's sister, no way. So it took me back to Vaughn in diploma days, talking about his sister, the apple of his eyes. And I'm like, Vaughn, I'm sorry, I just heard the news. Are you doing okay? I told Lamide about it, our friend. I reached out to Agazi, and I know they reached out to you as well. You also lost your dad as well sometime, a few years. But I guess what I'm just trying to ask is, how's it been? And I hate that your sister's death has been, I'm sorry to make you cry, has been punctuated with so many controversies that even her gifts, because she could sing beautifully well, have kind of been lost in that conversation. So I'd like to use this opportunity to redeem, seize that narrative and maybe tell us how you would like for her to be remembered. So maybe just share a little bit about your sister and how life has been since just, coping with her death, and not just her death, but also of her baby, because you were supposed to be an uncle through her, and all of those dreams are not to be here on earth, but I am glad that someday you'll be united in heaven and all that. But please, just take your moment in answering this question. And I'm so sorry I apologize for this tender moment, but whenever you're ready, just take your time in answering it.
Okay, so whenever I think about her, even this is my lonely times, I talk about it a lot because I'll just sit down and watch her videos on YouTube and I'll start crying because I'm perceived to be this hard guy, tough guy. Yeah, I know, but this broke my heart, man. Broke my heart. And we're really close because I trained her, when I trained her, I discovered her talent in music and I started putting her on reality TV shows, because she always looked up to me. Even the husband said every time they spoke, they always wanted to be like me. That's what he said. And that made me really cry even more because he said Tega always told him that she wants to be a star like Vaughn. That when Vaughn came out on Mnet, that the next thing she thought, she was a little girl, but she was like, I want to be like my big brother. So she reached out to me, and she started first with the Glow Ninja Sing. She was phenomenal. She was the regional champion. She came to Lagos, and I was already in Lagos, and she did very well. I put her on the Project Fame, on Nigerian Idols, and she became remarkable. Then she went on to do the Star Quest, and that was the icing on the cake, and she became a celebrity in Nigeria. So she was known. Pretty much when she came out, I could imagine that even we go out together, people forget the fact that this is Vaughn from the Good Ultimate Message. They just, they go to her for autograph. And sometimes I say, what about me? Here too, that kind of stuff. And she laughs and she looks at me. We had our lovely moments, Now, hearing that she passed on, I was already in America when she was supposed to come to America to even have a baby, because I told her that, she's traveled around to sing also, because when she started traveling to England, South Africa and all of that, she went to record her album in South Africa, So I told her, Tega, let me go work. Let me help you get a visa to come to America so that maybe you can, have your first child in America and everything. That would really be a nice thing. Then I also told her to leave the church, to leave that Koza church. I wasn't comfortable with the church. I'm not trying to come out at anybody, but that was my personal belief. I wasn't comfortable because there are too many controversies about the church. And I told her, Tega, yes, the church has tried for you. You've tried for the church. You're a minister in the church. You've done well. I think it's time to launch a personal career, And this happened before the whole incident. Now they say she had her complications. She was pregnant, and she met a dentist that started prescribing, a diclofenac and stuff like that to her. And these are things that are anti-inflammatory, and they see pregnancy as inflammation. So those things that are attacking the baby. And, unknown to her, first pregnancy, husband not too experienced with anything, they struggled with the pregnancy for 5 months. 5 months. And everything was avoidable because they went to the hospital, a good hospital in Abuja, and they lost the baby first, and of course it was non-viable, and her cord, I don't know if it snapped, but for some reason, they were supposed to do the operation immediately, evacuate those things out of her, but they didn't. They waited till the next day. It's my sister bled. She had internal bleeding. And I spoke to her, and I called her. I called her that night. I was like, she was listening to a lot of gospel music. She was praying. I made her laugh. So my sister-in-law, who was with her then, said, she called me General. I'm like, General, do you know you're the first person that made Tega laugh? I'm like, yes, I know I could make her laugh. But I told Tega, take it easy. Don't worry, Tega, you'll be fine. She started crying. She had pains. Like, Tega, no. Then I slept. So I was in my room. So I took a nap after I spoke to her. Then I had a dream. It was a weird dream. Like I saw Tega called me, I'm like, Vaughn, come see my house. So we're going through an escalator and everything, and she showed me somewhere, she was showing me around a house and everything. I saw a candle burning in my dream. It was like a ranch. She was like, so she was outside the ranch. I was like, Tega, come in, it's dangerous out there, Then my phone rang and I woke up. Then my sister-in-law said Tega had gone. I was like, what, are you crazy? Tega was a big celebrity. Tega had impacted lives, as in we had a concert for her, and a lot of people were touched, and we're still gonna have like an annual or biannual concert for her, or maybe once in 2 years concert for her. The day she actually died January 5, because the whole complication started in December though. So we're gonna have that. The church didn't even do nothing. I mean, like, when I mean nothing, they didn't act like somebody great just passed on. They just went on like it was normal, you know. I'm not angry with anybody. I'm not bitter, or I'm not picking out on anybody, but it just worries me that people could just act the way they act. The pastor and the church members, like Tega was just she was the head of the code of the gratitude. She was a leader in the gratitude, you know, and the gratitude is the music group where she sang for the Kosa Church, you know. And it's so weird that I still dream about Tega till tomorrow. I see her in my dreams. There was a dream I had where someone was trying to yell at me, or somebody was trying to attack me, and Tega chased the person away, and she looked at me, she winked, and she smiled, you know. That gives me courage that she's probably somewhere watching over me. I don't know if it's just me creating that in my mind, or for some reason, I don't know, but I just want to believe that Tega is happy where she is. She was a good person. She was faithful to her husband. She was a minister of God. She sang good songs. She touched different lives. Tega was a happy person. Whenever you met Tega, when I did my master's in Unilag, my parents are these funny kind of people, you know. So they sent Tega, because Tega was in Lagos, staying in my house somewhere, you know, in Lagos, but I was not living in that house because I was working in VI, so I needed to move house. So, but I still had my house, my rent and everything there. So she was living in that particular house. So I was somewhere, you know, away from my house. So when I went in for my convocation, my master's convocation, I saw Tega popped in. I didn't even tell her because I just thought it wasn't a big deal. Just get this convocation done with and just move on. But I saw Tega, she popped in and she was smiling and looking at me. I was like, Tega, what are you doing here? And like, my parents sent her to come and investigate me. To come and investigate me. You know, we laughed. She was just trying to be funny, you know. We laughed about it. I have those memories of her. She was a good person, man.
Thanks for sharing that. Obviously it's obviously still very painful, and, you know, very hurtful and, difficult. So thank you for sharing that.
Thanks for sharing that, Vaughn, and I appreciate you just sharing about your sister and reminding us that beyond her just being a celebrity and superstar, she was your baby sister. And I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about it because I don't think you've talked about it publicly, you know, like this. I don't think so. And it's quite an honor to, you know, have you, you know, share that with us because I know it took a lot. I mean, clearly, I can see that on your face and just how much, you know, it's still raw for you. But again, I'm going to leave you in the person of the Holy Spirit to do what He does best, which is to comfort you and strengthen you and yours. And I imagine that even your family dynamic has been quite affected because you and your siblings and even a husband, you know, it's gonna take it's not something you would ever forget. But I'm encouraged that you keep her memory alive through the concerts and the programs and even her administration. Having it on YouTube is still gonna keep touching lives. And I'm so sorry for what you went through at the hands of, you know, just mismanagement of her case in the hospital and all that. We've had people come on the show talk about, you know, losing pregnancies and even, you know, losing lives. And I'm so sorry because I think the most painful part I imagine is that it could have been prevented. It could have been managed. It was avoidable. Yes. And it doesn't make it better. If anything, it might just enlarge your wound. So I pray that God will comfort you and keep giving you strength for days to come. And thank you so much, Vaughn. Thank you for reminding us who Tega was and her vibrant spirit, her love for people. And I can definitely see how she was your baby. And so I thank you for sharing that.
I tell people if it doesn't happen to you, because I hear people cry that they lose loved ones. I hear people talk about it, and I really don't I really did not understand it until it happened to me. I tell people, you don't know how it feels until it happens to you. Someone dies, you say you lost someone, but it's a heartbreak, man. I felt ill. I was sick. My heart palpitated. It's painful. I don't wish anyone to go through it. I think I was young. And she came to the house. She came to the house, and my daughter loves to sing, and she said she was going to teach my daughter to sing.
Oh, Yvonne, so sorry.
Thanks a lot for sharing that, man. It's hard to lose. I think often of the fact that people often think of grief as losing someone or losing something, but it's and it's because it's not just. I think people always think it's just. Yeah, it's not just the person you're losing, it's the future, that you had imagined you would have with them that you've lost as well. It's not just the time, you've not just lost the time you had with them, you've lost the time you were hoping you would have. You've lost the ideas and things that you thought was going to come. I'm really sorry, Vaughn. Just take your time, man. Take your time. I was just wondering, have you, because obviously I know these things take time, but do you think maybe therapy might help? Because I feel like there's probably a lot to process. There's a lot to process, and I don't know if you have someone to process it with.
I'm talking to someone though. I'm seeing someone right now.
It's a lot, and I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of it. I don't know you. I've not met you before today, but I feel like there's a lot of this you've been carrying.
Right.
Because obviously this is very difficult stuff. Thanks so much for sharing it, and for being open and vulnerable about something so painful. But yeah, I think it's going to speak to, because there's a lot of people, who have experienced loss. And even when it's not because of, it's not because of avoidable incidents and issues. I think there's still a lot of people who struggle with that sense of guilt as well, of, maybe if I was there, maybe if I had done this or said this. And I think there's something good about knowing that there's someone out there who feels like that, who feels the same way, and you're not the only one feeling like this or the only one struggling in this way. And yeah, I think there's something powerful about being able to share these things. A problem shared is not always a problem half solved, because sometimes it can't solve. Some problems can be solved, but there's something about being able to share it, and because I think there's something that happens when something is in your head and only in your head and it's bouncing around in there. And it can almost sort of drive you up the wall. And there's something about it's like talking about it allows you to release some of that steam, so that you're not sort of caught up in your own rumination, which I think is something one can easily become in danger of when something is this heavy and this painful. Because pain is isolating, and going back to what you were saying about community, I think there's something about pain that makes us pain is only you, right? When you're in pain, there's a sense in which no one can know your pain. And there's a sense in which that makes us want to keep to ourselves, because if no one can know our pain, then it's just going to be us with our pain sitting alone. But actually, there's something beautiful in that moment when you're so isolated by your own pain, in finding community. I will say this. I am seeing a therapist for stuff that I've been through myself. So I'm not saying no. I don't think everybody should have a therapist actually, but I'm just saying the only other thing I was going to say is I've been through something recently, which was really painful, and it's nothing on the level of what you've described, but I did something in that moment that I'd never done, and I did it because one of the things I'm trying to do as I get older is, Tolan and I have talked about this, the fact that, there's research that's shown that the older people get, the less friends they make and less friends they have, and especially men. That there's something about men that as men grow older, it turns out that they don't have friends and they're sort of isolated and alone. And I've been trying to push back against that in my life because I realized that, oh my goodness, if I'm not careful, I'm headed in that direction. And I went through something recently and it was really painful. I'm not the kind of person who normally reaches out when I'm in pain. Tolani knows this. But I did something that I've never done. I sent a text to 3 of my friends. One of them is this woman right here. And I said, such and such just happened. I don't want to talk about it, but I want you to be aware. Keep me in your prayers. And it was the first time in my life that I was sort of balancing that, I want to be alone, but I want to also reach out in my aloneness. Does that make sense? And over time, I've had a chance to have chats and talk with each of those people. But in that moment, I did not want to. But I also had come to a point where I realized that even though I don't want to talk to them now,
Sure.
they're important enough that I need them to be aware that this is happening. And a time will come when we'll talk about it, but it's not right now. Because if I tell them, then I have to talk to them about it. And that prevents me from never bringing it up again. But I also am able to say, I don't want to talk about it now.
And Yvonne, Ayomide is a psychiatrist, by the way, so he knows what he's talking about. Yes, he's based in the UK practicing, and he's really helped me a lot on mental health stuff. And so when he says to see a therapist, he's coming from a place of knowledge.
Thanks for making it light on me. Yeah. I'm happy what you guys, I really honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate what you guys just said to me. It touches me and it helps a whole lot. And it feels like I have the feeling like you're sharing, part of what I'm going through, and you're helping me carry it along, from exactly what you said. Doesn't really have to be like, oh, you share the same pain or how I feel, but for some reason, you've just put yourselves in my heart and try to pat my heart a little bit and say it's okay. And I feel good about that. And I want to say I appreciate you guys for that.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate you because it took a lot for you to share that, and it means a lot that you share that with us. We don't take that for granted, and kudos to you for being able to express that. And I know it's gonna get better. I don't know how, but I mean you've overcome a lot, and I don't even think this is something to overcome, but I know that it's gonna get beautiful, and sure. I cannot wait to hear more about your sister, and just her spirit and how it works, and seeing all of that just blossom. Because I know the tenacity you have as a person, as her big brother, you'll never let us forget about that. And I'm very encouraged about that. So I cannot wait to read more and hear more about Tiger. And kudos to you and your family, and keep praying for you guys that, you're supported well during this very tough time. So thanks for coming on the show. All right. I think it's a good note to kind of end. We've talked a lot today. We've explored the life of Vaughn and his entrepreneurial spirit, his celebrity life, what he's currently doing, and just, his sister as well. If there are bits and pieces of this podcast episode that speaks to you, please let us know. And we hope that wherever you're facing right now, be it loss or grief, we hope that this encourages you that you shouldn't be alone. Seek that person to talk to, and maybe find ways to share about your loved ones to keep their memory going. And as always, we hope this episode, connects with you. And if there are any more ways we can support you on the podcast, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. See you guys next time. And thank you so much, Vaughn.
Thank you so much, man. Bye.
All right. Bye, guys.